Among the 266 popes who ruled the Catholic Church, 7 stand out not exactly through a happy history. Here's a quick rundown of the bugs and scandalous lives they've had. Don't forget to subscribe, so let's get started. 7. Liberius, 352 to 366. Pope Liberius was the first non-canonized pope. It had primacy during the height of the Arian heresy, during which some Christians emphasized the human side of Jesus. The Patriarch of Alexandria, Athanasius, who anointed Orthodox bishops, fought against heresy. Pope Liberius, instead of defending his comrade, signed an act condemning him. Approaching the end of the pontificate, he retracts his signature and reinstates it. Pope Liberius did not take any measures to put an end to the confusion within the Church. 6. Honorius I, 625 to 638. Like Liberius, Honorius is condemned and excommunicated for heresy at the Sixth Synod of 680. The heresy in question is monothelism, which sees only the divine purpose in the nature of Jesus, and not his dual nature. Patriarch Sergius of Constantinople writes to Honorius I asking him to pronounce on the delicate problem. Instead of providing a clarification, the Pope does nothing. His lack of initiative is so scandalous that for 3 centuries each pope had to declare that he rejected the heresy as well as its initiators, but also the one who supported them, Honorius. 5. Stephen VI, 896 to 89. Pope Stephen VI was ordained by Pope Formosus, who during his pontificate was excommunicated, being accused of leaving his pontifical seat and conspiring against the institution. He was finally forgiven and returned to Rome, but when Stephen occupied the chair, he ordered the exhumation of the corpse of Formosus, who was sued. The famous Synod of the corpse Formosus was accused of heresy, violation of the canons, perjury. Pope Stephen orders the confiscation of his clothes and the cutting off of 2 fingers on his right hand, after which his body is thrown into the Tiber. After the synod, public opinion turns against Stephen. He is caught in a riot and strangled. 4. John XII, 955 to 964. On the maternal line, Johann was part of the 7th generation of descendants of Karol the Great. John was the temporal and spiritual leader of Rome, and during his reign he practically turned it into a brothel. Moral degradation had become a major problem. After the coronation of Otto I as Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation, in order to secure his position in a possible war with Berengar II of Italy, he begins negotiations with him. Learning of his betrayal, Otto I returns to Rome after the defeat of Berengar. He convenes a council that deposes John and elects Leo VIII instead. But John returns to Rome with supporters and deposes John in turn. Otto offers his support to Johann, but before things can degenerate completely, Johann dies, possibly killed by the husband of one of his mistresses. 3. Benedict IX, 1032–1048. Benedict IX occupied the pontifical throne from 1032 to 1044, again in 1045, and finally from 1047 to 1048, the only one with such a discontinuous period. He led an extremely chaotic life, having few qualities that would recommend him for the represented institution, apart from strong social ties and theological studies. Peter Damian describes him as a demon disguised in priestly clothes, Liber Gomorianus, a treatise on the corruption of the popes, accusing him of bestiality and homosexuality. And Bishop Benno from Piacenza accused him of adultery and murder, and Pope Victor III mentioned only rapes and other reprehensible acts. Benedict renounced the papacy the first time for a huge sum of money, the second time probably to get married, and the third time he was forced to withdraw by the future Pope Damascus. 2. Boniface VIII, 1294–1303. Due to the fact that the King of France, Philip IV, taxed the clergy to finance his wars, Boniface VIII wrote one of the most important papal bulls in the history of Catholicism, Unam Sanctum. This stipulated that both spiritual and temporal power were under papal jurisdiction and that the king was subordinate to the pope. It is the unconditional affirmation of the superiority of the Catholic Church. But Philip retaliated by refusing to send the funds to Rome, necessary for the functioning of the Church. Boniface surrenders to the king, but only during the emergency. The Pope is declared a heretic, but he also excommunicates the king. On September 7, 1303, an army led by the Colonna family surprised Bonifacio at his residence in Agnani. Refusing to resign, Bonifacio was severely beaten but released 3 days later, dying a month after the incident. 1. Alexander VI, 1492-1503. Rodrigo Borgia, i.e. Pope Alexander VI, became synonymous with the absolute decadence that the institution of the papacy had reached. His ascension did not cause a great uproar at the beginning. He dealt with the correct administration of justice and a government based on order. But in a short time his passion for infiltrating his relatives at court at the expense of the church manifests itself. To achieve his goal he was capable of any crime. Alexandru had 3 sons and the famous Lucrezia. During his pontificate he does everything in his power to allow the advancement of his children. In order to impose his dominance over the College of Cardinals, Alexander invests another 12, including his son Cesare, only 18 years old, and Alexandru Farnese, the brother of one of his mistresses, the beautiful Julia Farnese. Alexander dies on August 18, 1503 at the age of 72, most likely poisoned, according to Burchard's symptomatic description.